This video is sponsored by Opera, and I'll be honest that when a browser sponsors a video, the first reaction is usually, okay, it's a browser. But here's the thing, if you think about it, most of us basically spend our lives inside a browser, especially if you do what I do, which is review devices, look at specifications, do side-by-side comparisons, check for the latest streaming updates, look at price differences. You end up having like 30 tabs open. So instead of me just listing out different features of the Opera browser, let me show you how I've actually been using Opera whilst working on real videos for this channel. So the first thing I did after installing Opera was to tidy up or clean up the speed dial page. So I just hate opening up a new tab and just seeing lots of different shortcuts or web pages that I'm never going to use. So I cleaned up mine, so I've got links for AFTV News, I've got my website, I've got my YouTube studio page, and a couple of other sites I use for the latest streaming tips and tricks. I know it sounds basic, but when you're opening up like 80 new tabs a day, then not having any visual clutter is weirdly satisfying. And it just feels like it's my own private workspace and not some generic browser homepage. Also, quick thing about the themes, and I didn't expect to care about this, but Opera has a theme gallery where you can fully customize the UI, the colors, light mode, dark mode, even subtle browser sounds can all be customized in your theme. So let's go to the gallery, and you do see you have lots of options built in. So let's try this one here. And what's really cool is you can then change these sliders and see the changes instantly. So you can tweak the accent colors, the background intensity, and it just updates. So depending on your vibe, if you're doing some late night editing, make it dark, make it low contrast. If you're doing something in the day, you can do something a bit lighter and a bit more cleaner. I know it sounds cosmetic, but when you're staring at the same window for hours, your environment really affects your workflow more than you think. Let me show you something real. I was recently working on a comparison video between 3 streaming devices in the same price range. And normally this just means chaos. So you've got different windows open, you've got spec sheets, you've got prices, you've got comparisons, benchmarks, Reddit threads, and you end up just having so many tabs open, you just don't know what's what. So what I started using was split screen. So not just having 2 tabs, yes, you can have 2 tabs side by side, but you have options for multiple layouts. So let me show you how easy that is to actually set up the split screen. So here I've got one tab open for my Apple TV 4K specs. If I now want to do a side-by-side with my Fire TV specs, I can just drag that tab into the same window, and I now see this overlay. So let's drag it to this thing here on the right, and we can now see we have 2 tabs side by side, so I can see exactly what's going on both pages at the same time. Let's say I want to add in another tab. So let's look at this forum page. I can also drag that in. I can drag that into the middle. And now I have 3 pages side by side. So super easy to use. And you can even drag another one, maybe my notes I'm using for this video. I can drag those across, put them over here. And now I have 4 pages side by side. I can see my notes over here. I can check the Apple specs over here, read the forum post, and then carry on looking at my Amazon Fire TV specs. So it works really well when you are doing comparisons, looking at specs, trying to see remote control features, HDR settings. All of that is just so much easier when you can see all of the content on the same page at the same time without alt tabbing, without flicking through different windows. This just makes it so much easier. And that kind of friction you don't realize is slowing you down until it's just not there anymore. This is where it gets really good, because Opera has a feature built in called tab islands, which allow you to basically group tabs together. So let's say I've got 3 tabs here. You've got this page, you've got some Google search, and you also have this article here. So let's say I want to put them all into a new tab island. Well, I can just hold down Control, highlight all 3, do a quick right click, and select the option create a tab island. So let's do that now. That gets created straight away. I can then go to the color for the island. I can give it a name. So this is my Amazon search items. And I can now, for example, give it a purple accent color, and that's now created. So for my streaming device comparison video, you can see I created a separate island, one for the Apple TV, one for the Fire TV device, and one for Chromecast. Each of them has its own name. Each of them are color coded. And when you click on them, it then shows you all of the different specifications, pricing, Reddit posts, benchmarks, all of that information. And when I'm done researching, I click on it again, and it then collapses them. So super easy to use, and it just makes everything so much more visually cleaner. I even have one island permanently called random for the tabs I don't want to close but I don't want them in my face either. So this is the first time that tab management has actually made my brain feel calmer instead of being overwhelmed. Let's talk about Opera AI, and this is something built directly into the top right corner. So no extension, no separate account, and if you allow it, it has full access to the page that you're on. Now, a real life example of this was I was researching a new streaming platform. Normally I would open the article, I would go through it, I would then open up notes, start creating some bullet points, and then plan for a video. But what I can do now, as you can see here, I click on the AI button. I can now type in, summarize this article into 5 talking points for a YouTube video. Press enter, and you can see very, very quickly in the background, it gives me the 5 talking points to the video. So I can tell you what Zoomer Play is, how does it work, what kind of content it has. It really is that simple. I can then even say, turn this into a short video intro with a strong hook. Let's try that. You can see, guys, it's very, very quick, very responsive. And there it is. I now get a structured draft that I can use for a YouTube short or for an Instagram reel. Now, obviously, I would rewrite this in my own style, but the time that it saves is very real. And when you're making content weekly, saving 10 minutes here and there really does make a difference. Sometimes articles will make a statement that you want to verify or double check. Again, you can click on the AI and you can ask, give me other sources that make the claim Fire stick will block sideloading. Let's type that in, and we can see it then uses the AI, and we can now see other articles which are also claiming a similar thing. So a great way for you to verify your sources and to confirm that the story you're reading is actually accurate. Also, when browsing certain websites, some of them can be overloaded with adverts, as you can see here. Now, the great thing is Opera does have a built-in ad blocker. You can activate that by clicking on this small shield here. Click on turn on for this site. And you can see in the background now, very quickly, all of those adverts are now gone. So browsing through this page now, everything is just so much quicker, so much smoother, because all of those adverts have now been automatically blocked by Opera. Opera also has another great feature, which is a free VPN built directly into the address bar. And the amazing thing is, it actually works really well, and they also have a zero logs policy. Say, for example, we can see on this Zoomer website, which is typically designed for the USA audience, if I click on watch Zoomer Play, I'll get the message that Zoomer Play is currently only available in the United States. So a very common message in the streaming community, which we know can be typically resolved by activating your VPN. So here, for example, I can go to VPN. We can see I've got different locations around the world, like Americas, Asia, Europe. Let's stick with Americas. Let's click on connect. You can see in a few seconds, I'm now secured. If I now refresh this page, we can see that content has now been completely unrestricted for me because Opera is providing a USA IP address, which I can then use to access content all over the world. And as you can see, guys, it actually works really well. Now, if you want broader coverage across more devices, there is a VPN Pro service, which covers you on up to 6 devices. Now, this next feature is probably what I use the most, and it's this sidebar here. So instead of me opening up my Gmail in a new tab, I can click on this and my email is right there. If somebody sends me a message on Telegram, I don't need to grab my phone. One click, I can see the message here and send a reply. It just saves so much time. I don't need to open up multiple tabs or look at my phone or other devices. I can access all of my favorite email, messaging, streaming services. Let's say I want to play a podcast. I can go to the streaming player here, choose one of these episodes, click on play. That then starts playing, and I now even get access to a floating player, which I can then drag away from the side and maybe just move it over here. So it doesn't matter what tab I'm on, what I'm looking at, that floating player stays there, allowing me to listen to my favorite music, podcasts, without requiring a dedicated window or dedicated tab. I can access all of my stuff here and just carry on doing the stuff that I'm doing all inside the Opera browser. And you can see when I click on this, it really does support all of your favorite AI assistants, calendar services, messaging applications, social media, streaming services, media playback. It really does have it all. So after using Opera for real work on this channel, I can say for me, what stands out isn't just one flashy feature. It really does have everything already there, whether that's AI, organization tools, privacy, multitasking without needing to install 5 different extensions, and without that clutter. It actually feels like a browser built for people who actually spend all their day online like I do. If you want to try this yourself, there is a link in the video description and pinned comment. And many thanks to Opera for sponsoring this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.